Hi, my name is Alexis Miller, and in my studio Cisco Pilates today, we are going to practice some stability exercises for your low back and pelvis. So it's just a few basic exercises that are safe and easy to do for anyone suffering from some low back discomfort or pelvic instability. This can be really good daily practice for you. So we're going to start, I'm going to tilt this down just a little bit, lying on your back, and I like to have a pillow for this. So lying on your back here with a pillow under your head, you can put your hands on your hips, on the front of your hip bones, and just have your knees bent and tilt your pelvis forward and back. So sometimes people will refer to this as a little pelvic clock, where if 6 o'clock was your tailbone and 12 o'clock is your belly button, you'll press 6 o'clock into the floor and take your belly button away, so there's a big space under your back. And then you're going to go the other way, 12 o'clock into the floor and tailbone off the floor. And we'll do that a couple of times just to move your pelvis around. Find some range of motion there. And then I want you to find a spot that's just in between those two places. So it's not too big this way and too much this way. You want a neutral place where your low back is just, there's a little space under your low back. It's not huge. Your ribs are in. From here, we're going to do an exercise I call toe taps. You can do heel taps or flat feet taps as well. Sometimes when people are using their toes, they cramp. So you might just want to do, just keep that foot relaxed if that is you. So I'm pulling that knee into my chest, trying to use my stomach to do it instead of using my leg and my hip flexor. So I'm using my stomach, and you can put that down, and then you switch. You don't change your back at all. You don't let that press into the floor. You keep that little space under your low back. So try not to move anything except that leg. Right? I'm just picking it up and putting it back down. If this hurts your back, you can do a version that's both legs in the air, and then it just goes down a little, like a tiny, tiny movement. So those are both options with one foot staying on the floor. These are options that are extra safe. If you want to challenge it a little bit more, you can pass those legs in the air. And I have to work really hard to keep my ribs down here. I'm feeling upper abs and lower abs working. If it gets into your legs or your hip flexors, just rest and start over. So give yourself a break and you can start over. But if you can keep it going, making sure not to change the shape of that pelvis, keeping a tiny space under the low back, the ribs are in, your shoulders are pressing down, you're not gripping in your neck. You should feel lots of good abdominal work happening here, and this is a good way to stabilize your spine. You can do this for as long as you can handle it. It should be a lot of work. And rest. Okay, so then, sometimes a nice thing to do for your low back is to just bring those knees into your chest and make some little circles. This is just a little low back massage, especially nice if you're feeling a little tight in that low back. And then reverse. And then we're just going to roll over onto one side. And line yourself up with the back edge of your mat if you can. So the feet in line and your hips in line. And then your shoulders too. And you'll prop up on your elbow. And we're just going to do some clams here. So I have another video that's all side legs. So we do clams and some other exercises, and you can definitely do that as well. That one uses a wall, which is a really nice, stable place to do your side leg series, and I definitely recommend it if you have any sacrum instability, SI joint, sacro-iliac joint stuff going on. Using a wall can be really helpful. So try that for yourself. But you can also do it in the middle of the room here. And just try to make sure that that top hip isn't falling back. That's one of the reasons the wall is so helpful, is it keeps that hip in place. So what I see the most in this exercise is this is too far back. So you really want to make sure those hips are stacked, one on top of the other. And we'll do at least 20 of these. You can certainly do more. And then you'll go top leg straight, and it's just going to go up and down. And I have a reformer in my way, but you can go up and down, all the way down to that leg, or you can hold it up like I'm doing and go above. And you should feel some work in that side hip. So keeping your hips really strong is a good way to keep that pelvis stable, and it helps support your low back. Very important. It's also good for your knees. Still making sure your ribs and stomach are pulling in here. And again, you can do about 20 or more of these. You know, you want to go until fatigue, really. You can't do any more. So just for the sake of time, we're going to do the other side. But you can stay longer and do more of those exercises if you'd like. So lining yourself up, and we do some clams. I like to try to keep my hand behind my head if you can, and then you push your head into your hand. That keeps your neck and upper back in better alignment. A lot of times I see this or this. So you're breaking your wrist there and it's sinking in your neck and shoulder. So if you have your hand behind your head, you can lift up out of that. Definitely better for your alignment. It's harder though, makes you work more. If this is not okay for your neck and shoulder, you can always have a pillow and lie down on a pillow there. That's a nice option as well. And then you straighten that leg and go up and down there. Reaching that leg super long and making sure those ribs stay in. Good. And then the last thing I want to show you is on your hands and knees. So if your wrists don't like this, you can do fists. You can also roll a mat up like this and put your hands there so it's a little less flexion on your wrists, or use a pillow for the same purpose, right? So there's some options for you. You're going to make sure again that you have a neutral spine, so you're not here and you're not here, right? So it's nice and flat and your shoulders are connected into your back. You're going to extend one arm out and then the opposite leg out. And if you need to put that foot on the floor, you can for balance and stability. Sometimes if your low back is really having a bad day, it doesn't even want you to lift that leg up. That can be too much for it. Really make sure you're pulling that stomach up here, because we're going to try to hold it for at least 10 seconds. Watch this elbow. Make sure you're not locking it, right? You want to keep it slightly bent. And then you're going to slowly bring that down to change sides. Opposite arm to leg, right? Pulling that stomach up. Try to keep your hips even. I see this happen a lot. So drop that working leg hip down. Pull that stomach up. Change again. You do twice each side. Belly button to spine. This strengthens all the little muscles along the sides of your spine to give you some good stability in there. And change. Good. And that's all we're going to do today for your pelvic and low back stability. If you want to do a little bit more side leg work or ab work, I do have more videos on my website for those. I would just be careful with the ab work to not take the legs too low to the ground, especially for low back. There is a beginner video on there that would be suitable probably for you. And keeping your abdominals strong is a really important way to help support your low back and hips and pelvis. So that's all for today. Thanks so much.